We have a lot of fun and make a lot of jokes here at the Hotbox, but today's video contains potentially triggering material. So no meme, no laugh. I'm just gonna give you 6 seconds to dip out and check another video if you have to. Otherwise, please enjoy the show. Big boys at ExpressVPN made this video happen. Click the link and find out how.
Everything's fine, got some merch in the store. It's hot, it's burning, it's trending, I'm buying. Everything's fine, got some merch in the store. I miss the outside world, somebody can save me. What you gonna do with all that stuff? You can wear it or burn it or give it to your dog. Everything is fine, got some merch in the store. It's hot, it's burning, it's trending, I'm buying.
Fellas, boys, Twitter is a cesspool. Twitter is so much of a wasteland that it's what you see when you open the door to the vault in Fallout. But every now and again, Twitter brings us some gems. Twitter can be, for the most part, a generally nice news and social media outlet. At least whenever Belle Delphine isn't trending. Welcome back to the channel, new and returning, young and old. Fans, haters, and any member of Belle's OnlyFans, welcome. Might I remind you that if you're new, why not subscribe? It's quick, it's free, just takes a second, and you can always undo it, but it really does help out the channel, so thank you. I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, but we're going to discuss some hard topics. So I'm going to censor certain words as soap and rock. Okay, so now you know what I'm talking about. Why do I need to take these precautions? Because today we find ourselves talking about Belle Delphine. Belle Delphine, or Mary Belle Kirshner, is an internet personality from the UK. She's known for cosplay of the incredibly lewd nature and recently shifted over to fully adult content. All well and good, you know, support soap workers, right? But Belle Delphine lit up the internet with her post, "My perfect first date." Now listen, the images in this tweet I cannot show you, and even if I could, I wouldn't want to. They're all over the internet, but I'm going to give you my rendering of what I see in them so that you can get an idea of what this is. The first picture has Belle in the back of a car, bound by rope and with duct tape over her mouth. From the look she gives the camera, she's in obvious distress. The second photo reinforces this danger aspect. It's just Belle's legs, tied up and bound with rope, and in the background we can see a forest. From the context of this shoot, we can tell that the character that Belle's playing is clearly here against her will. This is further reinforced by the third photo, which is her in the back of the same car, a van, but with her legs to the sky and spread, showing off her hoo-ha with a thin white strip over it. And it seems she's presenting herself for some adult activity. And then the fourth photo shows Belle outside in the forest. In this, she's up against the tree with her hands now duct taped and her staring back at a man behind her. The man behind her is in full camouflage and ski mask attire with his trousers down and is penetrating Belle, seemingly against Belle's will. And let me tell you, this photo leaves nothing to the imagination. I mean, needless to say, I thought I was in a McDonald's kitchen with all the meat in this photo. Actually, bad analogy, McDonald's meat is fake. I digress. So this is what's called a CNC or rock fantasy. CNC stands for consensual non-consent. CNC is a fantasy that involves one person, quote-unquote, overpowering another for the other person's gratification. And, you know, on the surface, this is Belle giving her audience more content, variety, let's call it. But many people felt that this was a little insensitive. You know, people are saying this is disgusting and you shouldn't like or display this. It basically boils down to don't fantasize the R word, which in itself is a little bit of a mixed bag of a statement, you know, in my opinion. And it's difficult because people are quite literally just going to like what they like. Personally, on the one hand, I do think that this could have been better labeled or better warned. And Belle, you call yourself an 18 plus account, but nowhere in your bio is 18 plus stated. You only have your OnlyFans link and a short bio, and an OnlyFans link alone doesn't always say it to some people. As much as there is a cry from one side, saying that this is a bit rude, there's also the cry from the other side, particularly the CNC community, saying, make your bread, honey, and that is an incredibly valid point as well. Look, bottom line, do what you will in the bedroom, just maybe think about what you broadcast, especially when you have a platform as big as Belle's. Let people do what they want with their bodies. Don't panic, don't judge, and treat your mind as a safe space to explore your in whatever way you fancy. I think that's a good way to operate. We should support soap workers, and as long as two consenting adults are doing something together and there's no animals or children involved, who am I to say stop? However, it becomes slightly different when you take photos of this act and post it to social media, where it can be retweeted or spread to other people who might not necessarily know who you are, resulting in triggers. I can understand why people would have a problem with this, not just because of its potentially triggering nature, but as well as with Belle's appearance. I mean, Belle is a very young looking person. She got that baby face, And in the past, there have been several photos of her that have suggested an underage look. I can seem to recall one with a lollipop and a bunch where she had those braces on. Belle has always been a very tightrope character, constantly walking the line, She's one of the most polarizing on the internet, and lover or hater, we're stuck with her. But that shouldn't always excuse when she could maybe afford to be a little more sensitive. Let me show you some tweets from both sides of the argument, in order for you to maybe form a better opinion for yourself, because again, the point of the videos that I make is to communicate information, sprinkle my opinion here and there, but the large point is I want you to take what you learn, take what you see, and form an opinion for yourself. Someone says, the issue isn't having this kink. It's the fact that a lot of males here will see this and think that this is normal. They don't know about the safe words, long discussions, and therapy that takes place before engaging in a scene like this. They just see rock. This kink wouldn't exist if men didn't rock women, since it's mostly women who use this type of play to process trauma. Posting this without any context will give men the wrong idea. I can already imagine how many are turned on by this. And someone replies, or maybe, just maybe, some girls like extreme domination kinks such as this, SMH. Someone says, everyone's freaking out in this, but there's a difference between two partners consenting in roleplay versus actual assault. Guess what? There's kinks for a lot of you probably wouldn't like. There's D-word play kinks where people like to almost be game-ended during it. Someone else says, yeah, this isn't it. Posting CNC on public Twitter isn't the best idea, especially dressed like a child. This is horrible. I'm all for CNC when it's done consensually between two adults in private or on a private platform, not Twitter where you have millions of followers. Someone says, okay, but there's a big difference between carrying out your fantasies in private and posting a romanticized version of abduction and rock whilst dressed like a child to 1.5 million people on Twitter. So following this, Belle did a couple of things. Belle first released a response. She says, there is nothing wrong with enjoying power play and BDSM, where both people are consensual. I think saying that because I enjoy consensual non-consent is promoting rock is the same argument that violence in video games promotes violence. Walking on eggshells there, sister, but, go off, I guess. Let's keep going. I made it clear in the caption of my video and anything written about it that I was enjoying it and that it was consensual. I never said the word rock or anything against my will. That is what other people have put into it. I enjoy the idea of being tied up and used, with my consent obviously. Another thing that people have said is that I'm trying to dress like a child, which to me is insane. I felt like dressing vintage that day, and even styled my hair in a beehive that was very common for women at the time. All the clothes I wear are made for adults, so the only thing that people can comment on is maybe the fact that I'm wearing a cute dress. Someone actually in the replies seemed to think that the dress was more childish, but I just don't know. I leave that up to you to decide. It's very confusing for me since I see other people dress like it all the time. If it's about how I genetically look, I can't change that, and I will not apologize for it either, nor will I stop being soap since I am a soap active adult. Yeah, Belle definitely shouldn't be faulted for how she looks. You know, she's a grown woman, but there's some things in the situation and things in her past, like the suggestive photos that I brought up before, that I think is what people have an issue with. Again, she can't change how she looks, but when she plays into it a little bit, then it gets kinda... Belle goes on to say, no one likes rock. No one wants rock to exist. Saying that I support rock is the same as saying that 50% of the female population does. Because if you look at the statistics based upon this, from studies done over the last 30 years, including new studies, 31 to 61% of women have power play / rock fantasies in the exact same way. Is this real? Look, I was under the assumption that it was common, but where's the math on this? Oh boy, statistics, yay! Okay. After doing some digging, I came upon this article that maybe she's referring to. Maybe. It's from January 14th of 2010 by Psychology Today. And there's this little text blurb that says, from 1973 through 2008, 9 surveys of women's rock fantasies have been published. They show that about 4 in 10 women admit having them, 31 to 57%, with a median frequency of about once a month. So maybe she's talking about this, but I can't find any more recent study that, fits those numbers. Maybe it's a UK thing, I don't know. Belle says, I am not apologizing for anything. What I did wasn't wrong, and much more normal than people think. Look at one of the most common soap outfits and fantasies, schoolgirl. If you wear that, are you promoting P-word now? Yeah, no, I can... Oh god, this video gonna turn yellow like a good banana. The front page of P websites include fantasy scenarios of every different kind that you can think of. I-word, stepmom, teacher, etc. Just because someone likes the fantasy of something doesn't mean they want it in real life. Soap is complex and explorative, but should always be consensual. Again, a bit of a point here. I mean, these categories and kinks that people are into will naturally exist, whether you like it or not. And we can work to make the internet as safe of a space as we can, but at the end of the day, it's not a safe space. And people with triggers should be prepared at the potential of seeing some potentially triggering material. But by the same token, we can still endeavor to reduce those chances, right? Like, some people are asking her to go private like other soap workers, but there's no way in hell she's gonna do that. She's a public figure. She wants the follower counts and the marketing and the discussion. She's obviously gonna stay public, but I do think she could at least put 18+ in her bio. Belle says, I post a lot of soap stuff to my Twitter because it's for my OnlyFans. People who are sensitive to kinks and soap content shouldn't be following me. I've made it very clear that I'm posting hardcore P-word. And yeah, Belle has said that she's getting hardcore before. And she should get that bag, continue to do what she wants. But just be careful where she broadcasts it. And yeah, if you generally want to avoid triggers, I do think that you should block Belle Delphine. Staying true to myself and my beliefs is more important than following the tide of angry, angsty people on the internet. Can you imagine a world where people actually posted how they individually felt, rather than how their whole cancel culture community felt? It would be better and more productive. Okay, she talks about cancel culture here. And yes, there are always bad waves of people that are just repeating the same bad things that they've heard over and over for years. And it's good to stick up for your values and your beliefs, right? The thing is, Belle, when there's enough voices calling for something or expressing an opinion, then you have to understand, no matter what it is, whether you like it or not, maybe there's some merit to the argument being made. You can stick to your guns, your principles, but just listen to other opinions. That's how we grow. Don't just stay stubborn and run the chance of potentially hurting people. Belle closes it by saying, as for people saying I should have used a trigger warning, my whole Twitter and OnlyFans have constant themes of kink since I do P-word as a job, and I will not put a trigger warning on all of my posts. Do not follow me if you require trigger warnings before posts. P.S. It was the best soap I've had in months, and I'm planning to do it again very soon. Heart emoji. She's got balls, I'll tell her that. I guess the way to close this is saying what I've said before. I'm okay with OnlyFans. I'm okay with soap work. But my problem is her history of potentially portraying herself as a younger person. You know, her looks aren't her fault, but if you put yourself in a position where you might be interpreted as younger, you have to be prepared for some of the hate. And I mean, I guess Belle is. You know, this crosses a line. It's just hard to say where it is. This is such a tricky situation. I really want to know what you think in the comments. Following this, people responded in ways like, well, this. Someone again says, you know what they say, as long as it doesn't hurt other people, do as you wish. Having consensual non-con soap is fine. It doesn't hurt anyone, but exposing your whole audience to it without any warning or notice is not fine, because it obviously hurts people. And Belle certainly didn't let up. She posted another photo set in the same style, and a video mocking people who ask for trigger warnings. So it's not hard to see where she stands on this. And I guess at the end of the day, like I said, you have to form your own opinion on this. There's so many ways you could go with this. But maybe we close it with the idea that no matter what we say, Belle wins in this situation. Maybe you could think of it like she got all these commentary schmucks like me making videos on her, putting her name in the algorithm, increasing her notoriety, and she gets to sip the sweet publicity juice. But if we let thoughts like that discourage us, we might never try in the first place. And I'll leave you with that sentiment, and to thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed, why not leave a like and subscribe to stay tuned for more. Whenever you're watching this, I hope you have a good rest of your day and an even better tomorrow. I love you, and before you say it back, look in the mirror and say it to yourself. I will see you in the next episode of whatever I make. And until then, this has been the Hot Box. Bye. Mwah.
Waiting for an excruciating amount of time and possibly some of the worst conditions imaginable, all for something you have no idea if it's worth it or not.